Welcome back to The Grind. In this video, I'm going to do an updated review of this season structure after they did come and confirm several of the things that were unclear initially with the preview stream. As usual, we have two discount branches. One is a legendary dragon. This season, it's a sorcerer, which I will be putting out a video on an original kind of brief fly through, and then after more practice, hopefully I'll have a tutorial on how to fly this sorcerer, but my suspicion is it's going to be fairly decent. And then also the base boost branch is 50% off. Now, this 50% discount only lasts for the first 2 weeks of the season. So all players, in my opinion, should progress as much as possible down these first two branches while it is discounted so that you can get basically half price or in one way of thinking it, double rewards for what you're spending. So that is my typical recommendation. Also, for the first 2 weeks, there is the redemption branch. So any extra keys you had from the prior season can be spent on these to claim gold chests, platinum chests, or various other prizes. Now, with the first week of the season, we also have access to a second legendary dragon. In this case, it is a hunter, Zelnath, which in my experience so far is fun to fly. I can't wait to get some videos out. And then a rider. This season, the first rider available is an offensive rider, and I will put out a video reviewing the stats of this dragon rider as well. So that's basically the first week of the season. We have those 4 branches as well as the redemption branch. Of course, the 2 mythic dragons are available from the start, and then the mission bonus branch to get bonus prizes. And I did actually purchase this, but I guess it did not register. And so the mission bonus, I typically like to get in the first couple weeks as well, but sometimes I wait until after the discount just to make sure that I'm able to get all the discount branch done before I put sigils into the mission bonus branch. So that's typically what I recommend to others. Save that until after the discount period ends. And then once we get to week 3, we will have the introduction of the resurrection branch, which this season will be Leos. And there will be a small amount of bonus rewards in that branch for the first 3 weeks of its release. And it will cost 37.5 thousand sigils, and it will get you stones all the way to the current maxed tier. Now, unfortunately, the resurrection dragons are prior, old, years old, and so their spell set typically doesn't fit with today's meta, but they may be tweaking things a little bit, so we'll have to wait and see how it actually turns out when we get that released this season. Now, once you move on to week 6, we will have the Wave 2 release, which will give us another rider, which doesn't always end up being a defensive rider if the first one's offensive. Sometimes we have 2 offensive riders in a season, but a lot of people are hoping it will be a defensive one because they don't want 2 offensive riders in the same season, plus a 3rd legendary dragon, which we do not have details on yet. And both of those new branches in Wave 2, Week 6, will be 20% boosted resources for the first 2 weeks of their release. So you do get a little bit of extra if you do push for those during that 2-week period. Now, after that, usually in week 9, I do not have a picture for that, we will get the festive dragon. We don't know what type of dragon it is yet, to my knowledge, but they have said the structure they used last season will continue into next season, which means that the branch will consist of 3 keys and cost 18,000 sigils. And it will give you enough shards to level that festive dragon up to obsidian tier. And the remainder of the shards, if you want to continue leveling it, will come from draconic chests. They also said at the end of the branch, there will be a repeatable node where you can exchange sigils for draconic chests. Now, we do not know for sure if they're going to keep the same cost. Last season, it was 500 sigils for 4 draconic chests, but we do not know if that's going to be the same or not. If it is the same, that makes for a very interesting planning for the season because it is very, very valuable to invest sigils into those draconic chests in order to use them for resources, if that is your primary concern. And most efficient use of rubies has now actually changed from spending on gold chests for resources and super sigil chests for sigils. The most efficient use of your rubies in order to get resources has now shifted to spending your rubies on super sigil chests in order to put them into that festive branch where you can get the extra draconic chests from the end for 500 sigils each. So my basic season guidelines or recommendations are as follows. I always recommend doing as much of the discount branches as possible, whether or not you're going for a mythic dragon. That's because the rewards and the keys are half price. So it's very valuable for your efforts. So do everything you can to progress in the discounts. That's my typical recommendation. However, if you don't care so much about that, you just want to pick one dragon and get one dragon to max and you don't like the discount, that's your choice. Once the discount period ends, I recommend you start saving all of your sigils until we see what is released with the remainder of the season. I would hate for somebody to get this rider or this legendary dragon and then find out that the next wave has way better options. So that's why I recommend to save. The other reason I recommend saving is if you come towards the end of the season and realize you are not going to get a mythic, or you come to the end of the season and you've got your mythic and have excess sigils, then the most efficient use of your sigils is going to be to get the festive branch and then spend all your sigils on draconic chests. Now, if you already know that you're not getting a mythic this season and you're prepping for next season, the most efficient thing you can do with your sigils in order to prepare for next season is to put all this season's sigils into the festive branch and then into the draconic chest at the end. And that's assuming they do not change the exchange cost of 500 sigils for 4 draconic chests. That basically gives you like nothing throughout this season, or maybe just the discount branch during the discount period you'll invest in. And then if you want to optimally prepare for the next season, you would save all your sigils, do the festive branch, and put every single sigil you can into the last node where you get draconic chests. That essentially is converting your sigils from this season into sigils and tons of resources for the following season if you save those chests to open up in the new season. Now, I do have several videos out already on draconic chests, so if you want more details on that as well as the festive branch structure, go check out my channel for that. But that's basically what I would recommend if you're saving this season. Now, for those who are getting a mythic this season, I do have several videos in a mythic free-to-play playlist where you can go look at for all the details on preparation and planning, as well as season structure layout. But the essential thing is open all your chests during the discount period, progress as much as possible. Then work your butt off in events to score as highly as possible for enough sigils. The cheapest keys come from the first 3 keys in rider branches, so that's a place to get a few extra keys for cheaper. And then save all of your rubies, every single ruby. Don't spend any rubies during the discount period, and save them all for the very end of the season when they bring out the super sigil chests, because that is the most efficient way to get sigils from your rubies. And ideally, you'll have about 170 or so rubies to put into super sigil chests, because 170 rubies will get you 1 full branch. And so my ideal plan is plan your season so that you have enough chests and resources to complete 1 discount branch at least during the discount period. Throughout the season, your goal is to do well enough in events to complete another full branch throughout the season. And by the end of the season, you want to have enough rubies, about 170,000 rubies, to complete your 3rd and final branch of the season. Now, we do need to get a couple extra keys with the increased cost of the mythic, which can come from the mission boost branch and from maybe the first key from another rider. So that is something to keep in mind. So it will cost a little bit more than that, but that is my basic guideline. But for more details, go check out those videos in the mythic free-to-play section. So I do hope this overview was helpful. Good luck with the season, and I'll see you in the next video.